on? We on?
Yeah.
What's going on YouTube, Facebook? It's Brandon Mays, another edition of my documentary, Art, Religion, and Mental Illness. I'm here with my friend, Little Dookie Duke. Hello! Hello! Don't ask me why I do that shit. This is something I do. And I wanted to talk about mental illness. But I'm not going to talk about it on a straightforward note. I'm going to talk about what led up to my mental illness. What I believe led up to my mental illness. Now, I skipped around in my early videos and a lot of things that were traumatic for me. I didn't talk about everything. But I will talk about everything because these videos are not for you, they're for me. They're for me to reclaim my soul, reclaim my identity, build up some self-confidence, some self-assurance, find something to believe in again. Because everything I believed in fell through. So I'm going to talk about some things that broke me down as a child that I didn't speak on in my earlier videos. When I was 7 years old, my dad and mom divorced. I seen it a couple of times when my dad would beat my mom. But on this one particular night, my dad was punching my mom in the face in the corner of the house. And I was just standing there frozen in my pajamas. And he said, "Get the fuck upstairs!" And I was like, whoa, like, this is my dad. Like, why is he punching my mom in the face like a grown man? And why is he telling me to go upstairs? Why is he doing this to our family? And that really broke me down. But as a child, I kind of buried it. I remember talking to a teacher about it. I remember talking to my god brother Irvin about it. Maybe a few more that I forgot, but I kind of buried that and really just internalized it. And what I'm going to say right now is trauma doesn't necessarily create evil people, but I will say it plants a poisonous seed in the mind of a child or adult. And that really hurt.
Yes.
Another incident that hurt was I'm going to talk more about family, but I'm going to skip around to some incidents about me. Another incident that hurt, I had a best friend named Paris when I was about 10, 11 years old. And Paris would come over our house, play games, play tag, help us clean. And one particular day, he invited me to his house. And he was like, "LB, come over." I came over, and we just kicking it. And him and his cousin jumped me out of nowhere. And the physical pain didn't hurt, but I cried as I was getting stumped out by my friend and his cousin, because it's like, why would you do this to me? I thought we was friends at the tender age of 11 and 10. So he was about 11, 10, and I think his cousin was 13, 14. So, they didn't have much power. It wasn't like getting jumped into a gang or nothing. But I'm just saying, it was psychologically painful, and that's what I really suffered with. Another thing that hurt, there was a cousin I had on a particular street we lived on. I don't remember the cousin's name. He lightweight molested me, made me kiss him, suck on him. He kissed me, sucked on, and made me suck on him. I kissed him and sucked on him. And it traumatized me. And at that tender age, I didn't realize this was wrong. I knew it was weird, but I didn't have no self-confidence or no knowledge of good and evil to say, bro, boys ain't supposed to be kissing. Boys ain't supposed to be sucking each other's penises. Boys ain't supposed to be hugging and doing that. But that traumatized me, and I totally buried that. I don't think I told anybody that story. And I even buried it so far that I don't even remember which cousin it was. I know the uncle whose child it was, but I'm not going to mention names. But anyway, that traumatized me. But back to, and then let's talk about the bullying and all throughout my life in school. In school, there was a bully who when I would get, my mom would always cut our hair because she couldn't afford to go to the barbershop. So she would just cut it all off or give us bald fades. So when I get my bald fade, he used to come around behind me, would take his belt off and put me in the back of my head in class. Teacher wouldn't do nothing to him. And this is young. She could have easily put him to the side. This was like 4th grade. So she did nothing. And that happened a lot. Another thing that hurt me, there was another bully who was real good at sports. And he was good at basketball and boxing. And one day we were playing basketball in the gym, and he's like, "Pass me the ball." I'm like, "No, I wanna get the ball. I wanna shoot for once. You know, I ain't pass me the ball. I wanna shoot for once." And he's like, "Pass me the ball, nigga. Pass me the ball." I'm like, "No." So he just punched me, and I you know what's funny about it? I just sat there and watched the punch come at me. It was a slow punch. It was a slow haymaker. He took it way back to here. And I just stood there like a deer in headlights, like, I'm just going to wait to get hit. All these things added up in my life. Back to me and my dad's dynamic. My dad was a Marine. He was a jock. He was a player coming up. So he didn't have the same dynamic that I had mentally as far as being docile and passive. He was aggressive. And he used to have us working out, and that was when I want to praise him for that. We was doing, me and my brother TJ, shout out to Cash Mays, we was doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 25 leg curls, 25 leg presses at the age of 10. We was doing that. 10 and up, we was in the gym at least once a week or once every 2 weeks because we were split up between my mom. I want to praise him for that, and I wish he would have kept that up. But the thing that hurt me with my dad was he didn't love my mom anymore. He loved us, but he mentioned on many occasions that if he can go back, he would have never had us. You know, he didn't want to be a dad. He wanted to be a young man accomplishing his goals and his dreams and his ambitions. He didn't want to be a family man. He didn't want to be a husband. He didn't want to be a dad. He wanted to be a cop. He wanted to be a football player. He wanted to be a baseball player. He wanted to be a soldier. He didn't want to be somebody sitting with his son all night talking about Street Fighter, talking about X-Men. He didn't have time for that. He always called the shows me and my brother watched corny. He called me a pussy on many occasions for crying at the table when they'll make me write my essays over and over again when they weren't neat enough. You know, he was just trying to love me the best way he knew how, because his dad died at the tender age when he was 11 years old, so he really didn't have an example. And then he had a period where he was in foster care, but that's more of his story, and that goes back to a point I made in one of my earlier videos. The trauma is mental illness, trauma on your people. The fact that your grandmother's grandmother was beaten, molested, and raped, is this why you're predisposed to fall in love with men that abuse you? Is this why you're predisposed to beat your wife and beat your kids harder than the slave master beat you? To make them walk a straight line. So these are things that led up to my mental illness. I'm going to stop it there because I know it's running a little bit long. And we won't come back, YouTube.